Hello, everybody. So I talked about this before. We all knew it would come to it. It hasn't come to it at the moment. Obviously, it still has to go to the president to be signed. Or if he will refer to the Supreme Court again, it's very It obviously the articles straight away are very vague. Looking at it, it's very vague. There's not any specifics. Basically, it's very open to anything. Basically, there's no specifics of it. So the government basically have a free ticket to do what they want to whoever they want at any stage of the sign this. And obviously this is to do with hate speech. Well, thought crime we would call it. Obviously we can agree that some stuff is hate speech. You know, well, not really hate speech, but offensive in some kind of regard, in some words, obviously. But even just having an opinion of somebody that's not from here, and who comes here or things like that, having an opinion that immigration, take for example, should the border be closed, open, and things like that. If you disagree with the government now, they'll probably throw you in prison. For saying, we shouldn't have open borders, we shouldn't have it. Even just for saying that line, you'd probably be locked up for 15 years and never let out. Even just for uttering that statement there, that the obvious statement that you shouldn't have an open border where people can just walk in at all hours of the night and all hours of the morning. Who you don't know who's coming in, don't have passports or anything like that. That's a very obvious thing. That's a very sensible thing to say. But the government doesn't like that, obviously, and they want to put you in prison for it. So basically, it's just thought crime. Even if you don't say it out loud, and you write it on your Microsoft Word and something like that, the government the guards now can probably seize your computer and look through it and say that's a thought crime. You have it on your Microsoft Word. You're writing down your members or something like that, your thoughts, and it's a thought crime now. So, it's getting to, it's getting to the point of the Weimar Republic and stuff like that, and the old German, or even the Soviet Union. To be totally honest, if you disagree with the state, you'd be locked up and thrown away forever. Let's put it that way. And as Elon Musk replied to it on Twitter, this is an attack on democracy, as they always often say. Democracy, we must protect democracy and stuff like that. Well, democracy is under attack, obviously. And obviously free speech is under attack by far, here. It's free speech and freedom of thought. And freedom of expression too. It's everything is basically attacked. And it's basically the whole civil liberties too. Because if they bring in this, they can bring probably anything in. Basically, if they bring this in, it's signed into law and stuff like that, we might as well go and tear up the constitution and say we became a banana republic or we became the Soviet Union 2.0. Because, to be totally honest, because we might as well just tear up people's rights, to be totally honest, at this stage if we let this go through. And obviously, it did pass the door by a huge margin, I have to say it straight. But, 13 TDs objected to it, we voted against it. Obviously, Aontús Fada Tobin, Michael Healyway, Danny Healyway, Carol Nolan, obviously, a few of the other independents who voted against it. I was very surprised that the people before Profit actually voted against it. So, hats off to them. I suppose I was expecting they would vote for it, but they actually voted against it. I was actually very, very surprised. Sinn Féin obviously went for it. They voted for it. Even though, I'm sure they would agree. Well, the opposition party, they should... Because again, looking at even the legislation, it's very vague. And not just that too, there wasn't much scrutiny of it. I didn't hear much scrutiny, like in the Dáil, or improved scrutiny stages and stuff like that. There wasn't any scrutiny. It was basically mirrors and mist, basically. Let's put that in the mainstream media were absent. There were nowhere to be found, basically asking questions about what this law would entail, what does it mean for Irish society, X, Y, and Z. Not a hope, maybe one or two articles, but apart from that, whispers and crickets, that's about it. Nothing from the mainstream media, they're all gone home, apparently. But again, I wouldn't be saying this. Again, as I say, there's some words that are offensive to people, and stuff that obviously is inappropriate to use, obviously, in some regards. But even just questioning who's coming into your country and things like that, or even if there's a refugee sector coming up in your town, even just question the government, and question why is this being put here? Why are these people coming in? Why is there so many men, take for example? Why is there so many? Even asking them simple questions, you might not take it, but they probably will lock you up for it, to be totally honest. It's not asking very bad questions, obviously. It's just asking a very reasonable question, in my opinion. In a democracy, you're entitled to ask. Particularly, again, of your government, of your local authority, of your local politicians, you're entitled to ask. But I would say if it does pass, I have no, to be totally honest, I don't want to say to people, yeah, it's not going to pass, things like that. Because to be totally honest, President Higgins is just going to sign it. He's going to sign whatever the government put in front of him. So he's not going to bring it to the Supreme Court. But definitely, if it did go to the Supreme Court, I don't know what the judges would say, but it definitely is. You couldn't pass because the freedom of expression and stuff like that. It's very glaring that it is unconstitutional in regards, because obviously the Constitution does state it very, very clearly that freedom of expression and freedom of opinion is the supreme of anything. There's no law more powerful than your freedoms, basically. That's the way the Constitution basically frames it. That nothing can basically get in your way of a freedom of expression and freedom of opinion. So, if it did go to the Supreme Court, they couldn't really say it's constitutional. Because, because nearly in every democracy, or so-called democracies, the most valuable thing is your freedom of speech, is your thoughts, is your freedom of expression. And to have that taken away from you, it's a downhill track. Next thing, you won't be able to protest. You won't be able to go out in the street. They will ban protests. Next thing, they will ban you. You're not allowed to go on social media until the government tells you can go on, or whenever they say you can go on it. Again, it's a downhill slope from here. First of all, they take away one right, next day they become over the other rights. If you give them an inch, they take a mile. And that's the sad reality of it, to be totally honest. And I don't want to sound like I'm spreading fear or something like that, but I'm just kind of telling the truth, to be told, the way I see it. Because again, the thing is, the articles of the bill is very vague. It's not saying in this circumstance, in this specific circumstance, in this instance, it's very vague, it's very open. It can be used basically for nearly anything, to be totally honest. It's not set in stand by his hand. So basically the judges and the courts and the guards could use it for anything, basically, at this stage. Because it's not form, and it's not very in stone, basically. It's all very vague and very open to twisting it a bit. That's what that was the law for the stage. That's the way I see it. But definitely it is an attack on civil liberties, and definitely it's an attack on democracy, first of all, second of all. But we can only see what happens. I don't think there's anything. We can only wait until the next election, I suppose, to do something. There's nothing what's assigned by the president. There's nothing really anybody can do. But I don't know when that'll be. That might be sometime this week. But it's a sad day that we see this happening at the moment in Ireland, in 2023. It's sad to see. It is sad to see. Because again, as I said, there's some things they could have added into it. There's some things they probably the vast majority of what they're going to prosecute people for now. It's not right. Let's put it that way. There's one or two things maybe they could prosecute people for offensive speech or whatever. But there's one or two words maybe. But apart from that, people are entitled to their opinion. That's the way I see it. And that's the way many people should see it, because at the end of the day, you're your own person. You're entitled to speak your mind, you speak your opinion, even keep it to yourself if you wish to, even write it on your laptop or whatever. But that's just the way I see it. But yeah, we just have to wait and see. But yeah, it's upsetting now. It is upsetting to see that we're going down the steep track, basically, into a authoritarian state. Because again, this is how it starts. Unfortunately, this is how it starts now. Authoritarian regimes, that downhill slide, basically. Thank you. Take care.